Good morning on this nice sunny morning. Go ahead and get your word problem set up and we'll begin. So our problem for today is this. Buddy has 29 bones that he hid in his yard. Beans gave him 29 more. How many bones does Buddy have now? I went ahead and did cubs for you. I circled my 29 and my 29. I went ahead and underlined the number of bones and now. And the reason I underline now is because I don't want to know how many he had before Beans gave them to him. I want to do it now. So he had some and then he got some more. So that means we're putting two parts together to give us our total, which means we're adding. Then I went ahead and boxed our question, and now we're ready to get started. So my question to you is this. I have to draw 29 and then 29 more. Am I going to draw tens frames, or am I going to draw quick tens and ones? That's right, I'm going to draw quick tens and ones. So here's my quick tens. We have 10, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So 29. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw 29 more. Now, I'm going to make sure that I put my tens with my tens and my ones with my ones. So I'm going to put 10, 20. Now remember, I have 9 here. And if I have 9, I know I could add one more to give me a 10. So I'm going to put one of my 9 here and then the rest over here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now I can go ahead and make that a 10. And let's count it. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 51, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 58. That's a lot of bones. So now we're going to fill in our number bond. So we know that Buddy had 29. Then he was given 29 more. I'm going to label this M for more. So we're trying to figure out how many bones he had all together. Now, I'm not going to punch 29 and count up 29. It'd be helpful if we had our hundreds chart, which luckily I have. So let's take a look at our hundreds chart. So if I have 29 and I'm adding 29 to it, what I'm going to do, remember, I have to make jumps down because that's like adding 10. So in the number 29, how many tens do I have? That's right, I have 2 tens. So I'm going to make 2 jumps down, and then I have to go 9 ones. So watch how I do this. So we're here at 29. I have 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Look at that. I came up with the number 58. And coincidentally, I have 58 up here. Now, let's look at our number sentence. I have 29 plus 29. Now what I'm going to do is do this the good old-fashioned way. I'm going to rewrite my problem. So I have 29 plus 29 just like this. I'm going to put my box up here and draw my line down between. Now, I have to know my doubles facts, just like you. So I know 9 plus 9 is, that's right, 18. So I can't write 18 down here. I have to split it up. I have to put my tens with my tens, my ones with my ones. So I have 1 10 and 8 ones. Now I'm going to put my side caret here. 1 plus 2 is 3. Now I can't just leave it with 3. I have to add it to the number I didn't use. I did not use 2. So 3 plus 2 more, 3, 4, 5. My answer is right here, which is 58. Does it match? Yes, it does. And lastly, we just have to write our statement. So we're going to say Buddy has 58, go ahead and put a box around that, bones. And we're going to put our 58 here. And that's your complete answer. So hold on, we have some new learning going on today. We're going to start geometry today. Here we are for part 2. And what we're going to do is we're just going to look again at the hundreds chart, but we're actually going to be going beyond the hundreds chart. And let me show you what I mean. So if we were counting by tens, we would look at this row right here, or this column right here. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. But what happens when we get to 100? Can we go past 100? Absolutely. But how do you write that? Well, let's take a look. We know that these are tens and these are ones. So we know the number 10 has 1 10 and 0 ones. 2 tens and 0 ones. So all of them have 0 ones, right? So once we get to 100, let's take a look at this number here. We have 100. Okay, so if I was going to break it down like this, these are still my tens and these are still my ones. We just added 100 into it. Okay, now that 100 is not going to change. The only thing that's going to change is your tens, just like it was before. So check it out. If I have 10, 20, 30, go all the way down to 100, the next one's going to be 110. And guess what? It just starts all over again. And the only digit that's going to change is this. But take a look. It's going to now look like this. 110, 120, 130. Do you notice that this piece does not change? All you did was add the 1 in front of it to give you the 100. So 130, 140 would be the same, 150 would be the same, and so on. What happens if you were going to be counting by, say, even just ones? Let's take a look. So this goes to 100. Now remember, here's our hundreds. I'm going to put that here. So I have my 100. Now, let's look at the number 1. How many tens are in the number 1? That's right, 0 tens, and we have 1 1. That's what 101 looks like. And I can do the same thing, 101, 102, 103, and so on. What happens when I get to, say, 113? Well, let's take a look at that, because we just looked at 110. So, if I have the number 110, remember, I have 100, and then in the number 10 right here. Do you see that number 10? But what happens if it's now 113? Well, guess what? The only thing that's going to change is that 1. Because look at the number 13. 110 and 3 ones. So I'm just going to change that to a 3. So the number 13 doesn't change. You're just adding 100 in front of it. So 113, 114, it'll all be the same. So what I want you to do is I want you to start practicing writing your numbers starting at 100. And I want you to see how far you can go with that. And actually, if you can take a picture of it and send it in to us, we would love to see how you would do with that. So remember, the 100 isn't changing. And these numbers here are just like the numbers when you first write them in the beginning up to 100. So think about that and then show us your work. So today we start our geometry unit, and what we're going to do is start looking at shapes. Shapes are everywhere around us. If I look around, I'm going to see shapes everywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the attributes of shapes. That is the different things that shapes have that make them in common with each other. So let's take a look at what I mean. So if I take a look at this, I hope you all know that that's a triangle. So a triangle has 3 sides, okay? So these things here are called sides. Now, most shapes have sides, right? In this case, it has 3 sides. What shape is this? That's right, that's a square. So a square has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So depending on the number of sides, that's how you can sort your shapes out. And some shapes might have 4 sides, but they might not all be squares. And let me show you what I mean. We have a square here, right? What about this? 1, 2, 3, 4. That has 4 sides. What about this one? 1, 2, 3, 4. That one has 4 sides. Those aren't the same, right? They don't look the same, but they would fall under the same category because they all have 4 sides. Now, the other thing that they all have in common is they have corners. A corner is where the sides meet. So if you look here at this shape, we have 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, because the sides are meeting at those corners. I also can call them points, right? So we're going to call those for today corners. So again, this one would have 4 corners, and this one would have 4 corners. So if I said to you, which shapes would go together, these 3 here would go together because they all have 4 sides, they all have 4 corners. This one wouldn't because it only has 3, but what about this one? Well, I have a corner here, 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 and here. So again, it's where the sides meet. It's kind of like at the bend of them, okay? Now let's take a look at this shape. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That has 6 sides, so that again would be separate from the other ones as you categorize them. Now, let's take a look at these. These are all what's called closed shapes. They're closed because all the corners meet, all the sides meet. Look at these shapes over here. These shapes over here don't. They're called open shapes. These are all open, and it kind of makes sense, right? They don't close the shape in. So this would be an open shape. This would be an open shape. So again, we have lots of different shapes. These are just the very basics in looking at shapes. And that's all we're doing is easing you in today. And then tomorrow we're really going to get into what kinds of shapes are out there. So hold on, I'm going to go over your homework with you. Homework for today is in your new book. Your new book looks like this. It says First Grade Module 5 Geometry. So you're going to actually be on the page that looks like this. It's like the second page. And what you're going to do is make sure you read the directions. So the first one says circle the shapes that have 5 straight sides. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at each shape and you're going to count the number of sides. If the shape does not have 5 sides, put an X right through it, because this way it doesn't get you confused, okay? This one says circle the shapes that have no straight sides. Now let's stop and think about something. We didn't talk about this. What shape is this? That's right, that's a circle. So does a circle have straight sides? No, it doesn't have any straight sides. So what it's asking you says circle the shapes that have no straight sides. So you're looking for something that's rounded, okay? And then here, circle the shapes where every corner is a square corner. Well, what does that mean? That's kind of strange, isn't it? Well, I guess if I look at it like this, that's a square corner, right? But what if I did this? Is that a square corner? That more it looks like a triangle, doesn't it? So if you can draw a square at each corner, that's a square corner. Now, let's take a look at the next page. You're going to be on page 3. So again, it's asking you for attributes or characteristics for these shapes, okay? So it wants to know, what do they all have in common? And then you go down here, circle the shape that best fits group A. So you're looking for one of these shapes that would fit in up here. So again, you're looking for the characteristics of the shapes. You're looking at the sides. You're looking at the corners. And lastly, I want you to do page 4, because these pages are pretty short. What I want you to do is I want you to look at these shapes and decide how many corners and how many sides each one has. And then down here it says look at these, look at the sides and corners of the shapes. Cross off the shape that does not have the same number of straight sides or same kind of corner. Okay, so you're kind of looking for the one that doesn't fit. And that's it. So today you're doing page 2, 3, and 4, and you're just looking at characteristics. Make sure your parents send us your work, and hopefully this shouldn't be too hard. If it is a problem, make sure your parents get a hold of us and we'll be able to help you. See you tomorrow.